What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Show, where I, Graham Jason Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network and on Peacock. And today we're talking the October 28th, 2024 edition of Raw Talk. They had Megan Morant and Sam Roberts in the studio per usual. I thought it was Peter Rosenberg for a second instead of Sam because his voice sounded different. He must have been sick or something like that. I don't follow him, so maybe he said that on Twitter or whatever. I don't know. But he was still in there doing the show for a full fucking hour per usual, as it has been for the last couple of weeks, for Raw Talk, that is. But they open up the episode recapping the ending to Raw with Damian Priest losing to Dominic Mysterio before attacking Dominic to close the show. They replay the Seth Rollins Bronson Reed segment with Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins brawling outside of the arena during the show. They also hype up their match for Crown Jewel this weekend. They replay Sheamus beating Ludwig Kaiser. We hear from Ludwig Kaiser backstage afterward with Kathy Kelly, and Kaiser says that he will never stay down, especially against Sheamus. And he feels like he's getting closer and closer to beating Sheamus, which he already has. He actually beat him a number of months ago on Raw. I think maybe the last time they were in Hershey over the summer. But he also says that, listen, I'm not going to stop until the Celtic Warrior is down and out. He is closer to the end of his career. He doesn't have much time left, is what Kaiser says. And he will not stop chasing the Celtic Warrior. He also goes on to praise Cody Rhodes, the current undisputed WWE champion, but that he has no chance against Gunther this coming Saturday at Crown Jewel. And that Gunther will be the only true champ standing after the pay-per-view. They replay Ivy Nile beating Zelina Vega. They also replay the triple threat tag team match won by the War Raiders to become the new World Tag Team Champions. Not the champions, but rather the number one contenders to the World Tag Team Championship. Sam Roberts says the War Raiders have kind of rediscovered what got them talked about in the first place pre-WWE NXT, which is true. The War Raiders were really where they were doing their best work in NXT, Ring of Honor, New Japan, so I'm glad that he brought that up. We hear from American Made backstage afterward, and Chad Gable says that Rey Mysterio got what he deserved because he interfered in that triple threat tag team match, attacking Rey, costing LWO the win. He feels like he served justice by doing that, and that they're here to stay. American Made is here to stay. Back in the studio, they run down the Crown Jewel card for Saturday, a full 7-match card, including a new match announced a little bit later on, which I'll get to momentarily. But they also include the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship Fatal 4-Way before throwing it backstage to an interview with the current WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. Bianca says, or rather Jade mentions, that they have constantly proven themselves. Why have constantly proven why they are the best WWE tag team in history, is what she says. Bianca kind of echoes those sentiments and says they do not back down from any challenge, including a fatal 4-way match, even though they lost their titles in a triple threat a couple of months ago over the summer, which they don't mention here, of course. But they're interrupted by Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Liv Morgan says that after I'm done beating Nia Jax at Crown Jewel, I may want your WWE Women's Tag Team titles next. And Jade Cargill says, well, we'll be waiting for you. They then throw to an interview with the LWO. Joaquin Wild, Cruz del Toro. In the background, we primarily hear from Dragon Lee, Zelina Vega, and Rey Mysterio here. Zelina says that Ivy Nile needed help in beating her because Zelina feels like she's a threat. And then Rey says that Chad Gable's going to pay for what he did in that triple threat tag team match by costing LWO the win. And Dragon Lee butts in and says that he's challenging Chad Gable to a match next week on Raw. On one hand, I like the match. That should be a great match if given time. On the other hand, both guys got to win. Chad Gable never really wins. Dragon Lee never really wins on his own. So I don't like the match from a booking standpoint, but the match itself, if given time, which I'm sure it won't be, could be a lot of fun. They recap the Wyatt Six targeting R-Truth on last week's show. We then are shown a segment with Miz asking New Day where Bo Dallas is, and they're like, we haven't seen Bo Dallas in years, so don't fucking ask us, I don't know. And then in the meantime, while New Day are arguing in the forefront, you see Miz go into his bus, his tour bus or whatever, and get kidnapped by the Wyatt Six, primarily Uncle Howdy. So the whole storyline is that Miz got kidnapped, and we don't know what the fuck happened to him. Maybe, I guess, the same way that he was kidnapped by Dexter Lumis is also actually a part of the Wyatt Six now, so it's really, maybe it was him who kidnapped. I thought it was Uncle Howdy, but it may have been Dexter Lumis' character, I'm not sure, but Dexter used to kidnap Miz when they were initially feuding years ago, so it would only be fitting if he was the one to have done it this time around as well. They then replay the opening video package from Raw, recapping all the Bloodline drama from last week closing Raw on SmackDown this past week. We hear from Bron Breakker because he was advertised to speak on Raw. I guess they just must have included it with Raw Talk because they didn't have enough time to air this on Raw, so at least they got to it on Raw Talk. That was better than not delivering the promo at all. But Bron says that the Intercontinental Championship is back where it belongs, around his shoulder. He did exactly what he said he would do in beating Jey Uso to regain the gold, and he puts all potential challengers on notice. He also tells them to come get a dogfight with him. So it sounds like he specifically singled out one person in particular, maybe Sheamus, and I would be down for that. The problem is, and Sheamus has some momentum right now, having just beaten Pete Dunne in that good old-fashioned Donnybrook match a couple of weeks ago, beating Ludwig Kaiser on Raw this week. The only issue with that is that I want that match saved for Mania, and that's not for another 4, 5, 6 months. So if they're doing it soon, Sheamus for sure is not fucking winning. But if they can save it until then, that would be great. If it's someone else that he's referring to, I'm not exactly sure who that would be. Damian Priest is busy. Dragunov's out right now. He's already beaten Sami Zayn. He's beaten Jey Uso. Not really sure who he would be referring to, but I guess we'll find out in due time. So then right after that, they hype randomly out of nowhere. I saw this on Twitter, but I guess it was announced here initially on Raw Talk, that they're going to be doing the current Bloodline versus the OG Bloodline, Roman Reigns and the Usos. Not Roman and Jimmy or Roman and Jay or whatever, the Usos themselves. The entire OG Bloodline, Roman and the Usos, versus the new Bloodline in a 6-man tag team match at Crown Jewel. Not that it came out of nowhere, but Jay has yet to forgive Roman, which I'm sure is coming on SmackDown this week. But they probably wanted to advertise the match with enough, advance notice, with the pay-per-view being on Saturday and not announce it on Friday night, with the pay-per-view being Saturday afternoon. I get it, but why not announce it on Raw itself? This came completely out of nowhere. Sam Roberts is freaking out about it, but before they can really give his thoughts on it, they cut to the fucking Slam in 7, like anyone gives a shit. They don't do the Sam Roberts top 5 this week. They don't have enough time for it, I guess. Either that or it just didn't really work, so they got rid of it. I'm not sure, but it was weird because they talk about that match very quickly and then move on to recapping Damian Priest losing to Dominic Mysterio in the main event. We're also shown a segment from After Raw, I guess, where Finn Balor told JD McDonough that he should be focused on the tag team titles and not interfering in Dominic's matches. And he said, do not get involved in any future matches without my permission. And then they kind of playing with Liv Morgan as far as what they're going to do, add more gold. Finn Balor looks conflicted. And that was that. That did not air on Raw because Raw ended, obviously. So that was a Raw Talk exclusive. And then as they wind down here, they have like 30 seconds left. Sam Roberts goes back to freaking out over getting the Bloodline versus OG Bloodline matchup. It was announced out of nowhere. Didn't really get a chance to discuss it. And then the episode ends while Sam Roberts is still talking. So this fucking show is a hot mess. It was newsworthy for that announcement and some of the interviews. It was a fine show, but again, like I've said the last couple of weeks, for a 57-minute show, it's completely fucking worthless. So pick and choose the interviews, skip all the other bullshit, save yourselves a lot of time. And that was Raw Talk for October 28th, 2024. Thank you guys for checking out my review. I appreciate it. Be sure to drop a comment, like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. Have an awesome one, folks. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.